Today, we're diving into one of the most world-shaking events in history, the Protestant Reformation. So, imagine this, an institution that's been the bedrock of an entire continent for 1,000 years. It shapes laws, culture, everything. Now, imagine it all getting cracked wide open by one man and a piece of paper. That's the incredible story we're getting into today. But a fire that big doesn't just start from a single spark. To really get what happened, you have to understand the powder keg the whole continent was sitting on. You see, long before the break, the Catholic Church was facing a massive crisis of credibility. The frustration was coming from pretty much everywhere. On the money side of things, people felt crushed by the Church's immense wealth and constant fees. Then there was the corruption, clergy living like royalty and literally selling church jobs, a practice called simony. Politically, you had kings and rulers who were just fed up with the Pope meddling in their business. And look, these weren't new complaints. Thinkers like Wycliffe and Huss had been sounding the alarm for over a century. But the one practice that really got under people's skin was the sale of indulgences. What were they? Well, you could basically pay the church for a pardon for your sins. Think of it like a get-out-of-sin-free card. For so many, it felt like the church was literally putting a price tag on salvation, and it became this perfect symbol for everything that had gone wrong. And right into the middle of this perfect storm comes a game-changing piece of technology, the printing press. You gotta think of it as the internet of the 16th century. For the very first time, ideas, especially radical ideas criticizing the church, couldn't be silenced. They could be printed and spread across Europe like wildfire, fanning those flames of dissent. All this simmering anger and discontent just needed a single spark to set it all off. And that spark turned out to be a German monk and professor. Meet Martin Luther. He wasn't a king or a general, he was a scholar. And he was deeply, personally troubled by the whole business of indulgences. He believed it was corrupting the very heart of faith and forgiveness. So he decided to do what professors do best, start a debate. 95. That's how many arguments or theses he wrote down against the sale of indulgences. In 1517, in a move that would change the world, he nailed this list to a church door in Wittenberg, Germany. He probably just wanted a lively academic discussion. What he got was a revolution. And things escalated with just shocking speed. By 1521, Luther was hauled before a huge imperial assembly, the Diet of Worms, and was ordered to take it all back. He refused. In response, the church excommunicated him, officially kicking him out. But did he back down? Nope. He went and did his most radical thing yet. He translated the entire Bible into German, so that for the very first time, ordinary people could read it for themselves. Luther's incredible act of defiance didn't just get him kicked out of the club. It broke the club in two. It created a permanent seismic divide right across the map of Europe. This whole movement, this massive upheaval, came to be known as the Reformation. And it's so important to get this. It wasn't just some theological squabble. It was a full-blown movement that challenged the absolute, unquestioned authority the Catholic Church had held for 1,000 years. And the people who followed this new path, well, they got a name that fit them perfectly: Protestants. It's really that simple. They were the ones who protested the practices and the power of the Roman Catholic Church. This slide really gets to the core of it all. See, Catholicism was built on a hierarchy, with all authority flowing down from the Pope. But Protestantism flipped that on its head. It argued that the one true guide was the Bible itself, an idea called sola scriptura. This didn't just reject the Pope, it empowered everyday people to have a direct, personal relationship with God, no middleman required. But here's the thing. The protest didn't just create one alternative church. It was more like a splintering. You had Lutheranism, obviously, which took hold in Germany and Scandinavia. But then other forms popped up, like Calvinism, which focused on simplicity, and Presbyterianism, which really put down roots in Scotland. Okay, so with its power being challenged and millions of followers walking away, what does a 1,000-year-old institution do? Does it just roll over and disappear? No way. It fought back. And this response is known as the Counter-Reformation, or sometimes the Catholic Revival. It was a massive, incredibly strategic effort by the Church to stop the bleeding, halt the spread of Protestantism, and win back hearts and minds. Their game plan was basically twofold. First, they looked inward. At the Council of Trent, which met on and off for almost 20 years, church leaders got serious. They clarified key beliefs, banned the sale of indulgences for good, and set up new schools to properly train their priests. Second, they took external action, forming a brand new religious order to go on the offensive. This was the Society of Jesus, who we know today as the Jesuits. Founded by Ignatius Loyola, these guys were disciplined, brilliant, and fiercely loyal to the Pope. They became the Church's elite force, founding schools and universities and sending missionaries all over the world. People like St. Francis Xavier, who traveled all the way to India to spread the Catholic faith.
So in the end, the Reformation didn't destroy the Catholic Church, but it changed it forever. It completely shattered the religious unity of Europe. And this Great Divide, well, it wasn't just a war of words. It set the stage for centuries of brutal, bloody conflict. Which leaves us with a final, sobering question to chew on. What happens when faith, a source of peace for millions, becomes a reason for war?